Hearthstone Grandmasters Americas continues with Super Sunday's first kickoff match of the Americas. We got Purple from Canada up against Zalae from the United States, the Mage versus the Warrior. If you guys are just tuning in, you missed the conclusion of Europe, where Hunter Ace has now tied Seiko as #1 division, which is not surprising at all.
No.
Are you telling me the #1 and #2 points leader for Europe ends up #1 and #2 in division? That's weird.
Wow.
Yeah, turns out they're pretty good at Hearthstone. And now we go carry over into the Americas. The players who have done really well consistently throughout the years are also doing pretty well. But a couple players who are struggling, Zalae is one of them towards the bottom of the division.
Yeah.
You can look to see if he can turn it around, at least win a little bit more money for his wallet. I do want to commend Zalae that he's been doing a fantastic series on his stream where he raises money to feed families. I believe there are families in America in particular. I'm not sure, but I haven't actually researched too much about the charity that he raises for. But Zalae does pull-ups, I believe, where the more pull-ups that he does, the more money he raises, and so on and so forth. It's a really cool initiative. I love seeing that kind of stuff, and I believe he's going to do it later today. So even if he loses here, he's a winner in my book.
Yeah, I agree, Dan.
Because he's going to lose. I feel like this is a tough matchup, to say the least.
Yeah, and he has made some changes with his tertiary deck that could help him out in the matchup. He's kind of turning him over Mega Assembly Harrison Jones and has added in Fairy Dragon, Big Game Hunters, and the second Brawl. So that can help him fight back. The problem is Purple's additions to his deck have just made it even better. He's added a Messenger Raven, 2 Twilight Drakes, Harrison Jones, and Alex Straza, and he keeps over that Luna's Pocket Galaxy from his primary deck, which means that he's got a ton of threats. And if you look at his hand right now, he's got a nice curve of Banana Buffoon into Twilight Drake. I believe Mountain Giant will cost 5 at that point. So scaling up the curve quite nicely, and this is already a tough matchup, but Purple, I think, has probably one of the best anti-warrior mage lists of any player in Grandmasters this week.
Yeah, and it seems to be a good call. So the question becomes, how does Zalae capitalize on the fact that he knows this? If he anticipates a Banana Buffoon, he can get ahead of it by playing a 3-mana minion right now. Acolyte of Pain or Clockwork Goblin, there are cases for both of them to be made.
Yep.
The Clockwork Goblin is just more pressure now, and I think that's ultimately what's on Zalae's mind. What can I do to try and win this game? Well, you gotta drain your opponent's life total to 0. In order to do that, play the biggest minion you can. Try to hit. Wow, and he is rewarded with a draw of Snip Snap. That is exactly what you're looking for if you're in Zalae's position. He does have to worry about the Ray of Frost threat, but Snip Snap, in terms of however he plays it, whether he chooses to magnetize, which I'm in favor of, versus splitting it, it's very effective either way.
Yeah, judging by Zalae's game plan from last game, it's just going to be a magnetize and smack him.
Yeah, I think because there's bananas in, if you separate the Snip Snap and the Clockwork Goblin, you're kind of asking for bananas to punish you. Potentially. I mean, it's not even that severe of a punish because you still have like a Militia Commander to help clean things up with Dynamatic.
I wonder.
Yeah, even like the double banana won't even touch it coming into the following turn. So it is some room for thought, though, because usually Purple's going to be playing one big minion a turn as well. So even if you don't factor in bananas, having multiple attacks can oftentimes be a benefit.
Yeah, there was an alternative line that was very P-word. There's a P-word line of play.
Poopy.
Yes.
Acolyte of Pain?
Yes, Acolyte of Pain, because you anticipate, if you play Acolyte of Pain, you trade to the 2/2, they have no banana target. They ping your 3/1, you set up for a Dynamatic to help draw a lot of cards off the Acolyte of Pain moving forward. Because then you like set things up with Snip Snap and then Militia Commander in case you need it. But I don't think I like that nearly as much because I think it plays directly into the Mage's hand, which is like letting them draw a lot of cards and then assembling big turn 6, 7, 8 combos. Because if you play Acolyte of Pain and then Snip Snap afterwards, and let's say your opponent doesn't play even this Twilight Drake and you Dynamatic, like what are you really doing? You're developing a 2-attack minion and a 3-attack minion over the course of 3 turns. And it's like that doesn't really do much. In this case, Zalae's pushing 5 for 2 turns straight, and he does have this Militia Commander available to him. Although that Town Crier probably introduces an interesting thought as well. because he can also structure his turns to know that he's going to have 2 rush minions to take down this Twilight Drake, for example, or he can just get the damage in now. Do you want to kill the Twilight Drake, or do you want to just push face damage, TJ?
I think I want to kill the Twilight Drake. The Clockwork Goblin makes things awkward, but I don't know. Because if you kill Twilight Drake, the Banana Buffoon trades over, and the Clockwork Goblin, and then a ping comes out on the Militia Commander. You're left with just 2 1/1s. And that's only 2 mana expenditure, so you do kind of give up almost your entire board,
right?
In order to make that play happen. Whereas this still it protects the Clockwork Goblin and still keeps you on a board lead that you can then follow up with Dynamatic with Big Game Hunter if Purple were to play a Giant. Actually, on second thought, like this play better.
Yeah, and if Purple does commit with bananas onto his Twilight Drake, then that's like mana that Purple isn't investing into doing, say, a Conjurer's Calling, most likely, because that is something that he what would be afraid of in terms of Purple fighting back onto the board. So like Banana trade, doesn't want to destroy it. He has 3 mana remaining. That doesn't give him much options in response.
Time runs out on me.
Alternatively, Purple doesn't have to go for bananas. Could just like say Ziliax and call it a day.
Yeah.
I think I like Mountain Giant on the board the least out of all the options because it just opens you up to all those removal.
Yeah, Big Game Hunter specifically, there's 2 in Zalae's tertiary deck, so.
Okay, so not gonna go for the ping. Finds Polymorph.
Ooh, okay.
This ends up lining up really nicely for a Dynamatic as a full clear. If he trades the Militia Commander in, there'll be 5 health on the opposing side, and his 2 Microbots are mechs, so they can push 2 damage. The closer you can get to Dr. Boom Mad Genius as well, with safety and not having to worry about Purple's Giant pressure, the better as well.
Light the fuses!
So Purple will have 6 mana, which Giant will cost 5. It's the best course of action here. Messenger Raven's fairly interesting because it does bias you to discover minions from your class, and there's just like a handful of good mage minions. Mana Cyclone's one of them, but I was thinking about like Khadgar you might get, or
Caligos, Toki Time Tinker.
Yeah, there's some high impact legendaries.
Astromancer, there's a ton.
Right.
These are very low value when considering all those.
Behold the
Mana Cyclone,
of creation.
Mana Cyclone's still pretty good.
Behold
Especially one that he got for free, and he still gets to draw a card off of it.
Yeah, pretty good turn, all things considered.
Yeah, but now this is Zalae's opportunity to strike. So Towncrier will pull a rusher that he can play, so Ziliax or the Militia Commander. Most likely going to take down this Stargates of Luna as a priority. I kind of wonder if he even wants to acknowledge the rest of the board versus pushing the damage, because he could clear it off. He can clear everything. But he alternatively could push a little bit more damage. I think given that he wants to curve into a Dr. Boom play, he wants to make sure that Purple can't get the best board setup. If he leaves minions on the board, he's giving opportunities for his opponent to threaten with Sea Giant, and it makes playing Dr. Boom a lot scarier.
Yeah.
Because, like, if he leaves it as it is, Sea Giant can come down for 3.
But on the other hand, there's only Purple has removed a copy of Sea Giant from the deck. So it's how much Zalae wants to play around the 1 copy of Sea Giant that's in the deck. It looks like he's going to respect it a little bit, but is valuing that 3 damage to the face from Dynamatic over trading the Mana Cyclone.
Yeah.
Not too worried about the 2/2.
Yeah, and, you know, Purple is technically at a breakpoint, 15, even though he doesn't have, he has only 1 bomb shuffled in. It's not like anything significant, but, you know, it's 15 is not that different from 13 unless you get the zap from Dr. Boom Mad Genius. And we also know that Purple has the Ziliax, so the life totals are a lot more fluid than what they seem.
Yeah. Purple can go for a full clear here. Polymorph onto the Dynamatic, Shooting Stars, trade over the Militia Commander, ping the Towncrier.
What to do?
It's a very passive play, but honestly, like everything else opens him up to some kind of punish. whether it's just damage. I was looking at Ziliax as well. The problem with Ziliax is that no, I guess it's good. It does pretty much end in a full board clear, especially if you consider the fact that Zalae wants to play one of his power cards on the following turn. But I feel like Polymorph would be is a tough card to use in the matchup, and whenever you can get value out of it, when generated randomly, of course, you want to go for it. But Ziliax is the play.
Yeah, this play makes all too much sense. Dr. Boombat Genius makes your removal options much better. Purple coming up on the threatening turn, picks up Conjure's Calling, no Khadgar, but still can go for it. Graveheart positioned on the far right, but that's okay because there's no Super Collider.
Ooh. Potential for a lot of draw in Zalae's deck, but these Acolyte Pains are kind of dead at the moment.
Right, he knows there's another Conjure's Calling, so if he brawls and the Giant survives, it's just going to get summoned again.
Then.
So, the best course of Zalae here might be to take this a little slower. He can Big Game Hunter and Zap. Although, funny enough, zapping the Mana Cyclone on purple side is not something that Zalae technically wants to do when he has a Brawl in the hand, because he wants that chance for that 2-1 to survive and take up board space over the big Giants.
Yeah, as weird as it seems, like just playing double Acolyte here is kind of interesting because they draw a card and also has the potential to absorb health.
Right, you want like your opponent's gonna naturally want to send damage into it.
And then if purple went for a Conjure's Calling play, then you just brawl.
Purple sees that Zalae had difficulty removing the big threats, plays Antonitis to try to see if he can press in. I like it.
Yep. Also comes down a turn before Omega Devastator is online, and
right.
Well, there's no Omega Assembly because Zalae cut them in his tertiary deck, but I do like this play. A lot of times players are too greedy with Archmage Antonitis, and by the time they play it, while I guess they get fireballs, they given the warrior too much breathing room, and they can stabilize with more access to more removal because they've drawn more cards, and have time to assemble a way to play around the fireballs they've generated. So
it does give Zalae this opportunity to use Brawl and the microbots off his hero power, because he's going to summon 3 microbots. I think purple is okay with that Brawl, even though if he loses, it obviously stinks. Zalae could have thrown the Fairy Dragon in as well. He's choosing not to. 60% chance for him to win. And he does win. I mean, chances did favor him. And Zalae took that risk, knowing that he needs things like Fairy Dragons to stay on the board so that he can remain competitive against whatever his opponent plays.
Yep.
And he's rewarded, because now he has 4 damage plus a Zap, which can answer most things. And if a Giant comes down, he still has Blastmaster Boom to help trade into things as well. So there's still a Mana Cyclone in Purple's deck, so he doesn't have to play all the Sorcerer's Apprentice stuff and whatnot. Remember, that second Mana Cyclone was generated randomly off of a Messenger Raven.
yeah, he doesn't have an element of evocation. He's actually cut 1 copy, interestingly enough, from his secondary deck to make room for all these bigger minions.
Oh my, speaking of bigger minions. Ooh, another Brawl.
But that's the last Brawl.
It's the last Brawl, and, you know, as much as it's threatening to have an 8-8 and a 4-12 stare you down, it's not the end of the world yet, because you have shield block and you can still take it a little bit slower if you want.
It's a little bit nerve-wracking, though.
It is nerve-wracking, given that your opponent knows that you know that your opponent has Fireball. But it's kind of like one of those things where you know that they have Khadgar in their deck. You still kind of need your second Brawl in case they go for a big wide board. You can start things off with a shield block if you don't feel comfortable with just pull and trigger on the brawl here or Blastmaster Boom. I don't think Blastmaster Boom's that good because it's only one bomb in the deck still. If you had 2 bombs, I think you could go for that. So Zalae wants to go for the Blastmaster Boom. Fight tension with tension. Says, you know what? You gotta clear this as well. I'm pushing damage on you. Now, purple does have polymorph. In fact, he has a free polymorph.
Ooh. Free polymorph and has the ability to go for a mana cyclone here.
Right, with the banana buffoon. So that's at least 5 spells available to him.
Yep.
What to do? What to do?
So he's got polymorph. He's got the ability to use the shooting star for free. Oh my goodness, really?
This means that, okay, so counting mana, Fireball would cost 3, but he wouldn't be able to ping, but he could shooting stars. So it looks like he wants to remove Fireball, use Fireball and shooting stars.
Right,
as
removal.
Yeah, as removal. And bananas, you can push damage with the 412 and the 8/8, but
Trying to make it resilient against the boom bomb.
sure. But I don't know how valuable these smaller minions are. Sure, they give you extra attacks, but
Perhaps the sorcerer's presence discount is what he's thinking about.
yep. Let's see where these boom bombs land. Calicos and Sorcerer Apprentice dies anyway. Not that big of a deal. What?
3 icicles? Okay. Oh, that's a good draw. And Zalae can pick up a second one. If he does, he's back in this game. I mean, he kind of already is back in this game just based off of that 1 Omega Devastator draw because I'm realizing purple doesn't actually have a lot more momentum. His hand's just a bunch of randomly generated icicles.
Does still have some threats left in the deck, but it's starting to thin out a bit. He's got a Twilight Drake left, Alexstrasza, Harrison Jones, a Mountain Giant. Actually, no, he's played the other Mountain Giant.
The 1 giant survives, or the 8/8 survives, rather.
Yeah.
I was hoping he wouldn't have to use that so he can utilize his delivery drone. Interesting. Zalae playing around like the possibility that purple picks up more damage spells. This is kind of hilarious, actually. But imagine he picks up like, you know, the Frost Nova. Splitting Image, very effective when it's just 1 Mountain Giant, and Zalae wants to trade into it. If Zalae wanted to trade, he should zap it first before trying to attack into it. So that way an 8/5 is out on the other side. Alternatively, say forget it. He's gonna go face.
Zalae, though, also running out of stuff to do, and he doesn't have Omega Assembly in this tertiary deck.
Does he have Warpath?
He does have Warpath, so that could unlock this Acolyte of Pain to be able to draw some cards. But it's also heavy mana expenditure, and as far as threats go in his own deck, it's just runs Calibers, pretty much. Not a threat, but...
Yep, plays around Splitting Image by zapping first, sees it. Pretty problematic. Had Zalae known it was Splitting Image guaranteed, may or may not have attacked into it, given that you put a lot of resources into it. 1 bomb is drawn, though. It's another bomb in the deck.
Oh, Arcane Intellect.
Yes, Research Project actually helps Zalae a lot, so purple probably going to avoid that unless it's absolutely necessary. Harrison Jones and Mirror Image. Mirror Image good for stalling, given that he can't really interact with this Fairy Dragon very well. Harrison Jones' Mirror Image is a 2-turn lethal setup. You put 13 power on the board and you have a hero power.
Given that Zalae doesn't pick up something super impactful from the delivery drone,
Right.
I wonder if he has a read on what this card is in the hand. I doubt it. There's a lot of cards that you can hold as a warrior. He knows it's not direct removal, or else he would have used it on the giant, most certainly. But purple Harrison Jones kind of crucial for the Red Caliber, especially since not a single one has been played yet. But this delivery drone gonna be big.
So the Kaboom bot had potential to be big, but it can't die.
Yeah. Oh, this is rough. Purple, though, he is struggling to find a way to close out the game outside of just this Mountain Giant attacking a couple more times. We obviously see that the Harrison Jones would have been lethal, right? But it's
maybe.
No, it would have been.
Maybe.
In a results-oriented world, Dan, if these 3 mechs
This would be a good time for a master
were the options for
plan.
delivery drone,
If he played Hecklebot, does that still mean he's dead?
if it pulls out a Mountain Giant,
I
yeah.
love that fuse thing.
I mean, both Mountain Giants have been played.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Then, no, it wouldn't have been.
Could have pulled out, like, the Twilight Drake or something.
Yeah.
Pain, speak to me. Face me, you ridiculous rough.
Alex Strauss is in the deck. Okay, it's a Twilight Drake.
So now he can actually get use out of his icicles.
And then, oh, that's kind of funny.
I mean, if he finds extra damage, Cinderstorm. Okay, so there is a lethal opportunity with Cinderstorm here.
But if you don't get lethal with Cinderstorm, then Acolyte of Pain draws cards.
You can Spellbender or Mirror Entity. Spellbender, I believe, is still up, so it's down to Mirror Entity or Cinderstorm.
I wonder.
Oh, wow.
Frostbolt is what he's looking for. Doesn't get it. Also doesn't have a Frostbolt. Apologies. Clarification. Picks up bot number 2. He's actually very close to the bottom of his deck. Oh my! Hold on. Sorcerer's Apprentice, Ray of Frost, Icicles. Oh, he doesn't want to draw too many cards.
No. So he Sorcerer's Apprentice,
Goes out on me.
Icicle, trade. Then he's dead to a Wrench Caliber.
What to do? What to do?
He needs to trade over the Fairy Dragon.
Didn't even get the attack.
Yeah.
And just like that, Zalae somehow steals the win
Thanks.
against
I'll
purple.
destroy you last.
He has not checked for Ice Barrier, I don't think.
I mean,
But he's going to check first with the Acolyte of Pain, realize it's not Ice Barrier, and that is just going to be lethal. So Zalae ties up the series.
pretty unexpected if you ask me. I thought purple had this pretty nice and simple, but it seemed like Zalae held on just long enough. And there's not enough just to want to get confirmation on what secret it is.
Yeah.
Sees that it's the Spellbender, zaps his way to victory, and we have a tied series 1 game apiece. Much to Purple's disappointment. Looks like he was not happy with how things went in terms of last turn. I guess it's probably just the missed attack.
Yeah, and I guess we can go back to the Archmage at Tinnitus turn, only picking up 1 Fireball. Brawl is more likely to punish you because of the microbots on the other side. He had that information. So maybe you can hold on to it. I usually am a fan of playing Antonitis early, as I said, and I don't necessarily disagree with the play, but maybe you wait for a better hero power, like 1 more turn to guarantee 2 Fireballs. Because that was a difference maker.
Right.
You know, if you had 1 extra one, of course, so many things could have changed leading up to that point.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's really the only thing you can look at. The missed attack on the Mountain Giant, sure, but I'm pretty sure that Purple would have gone face there in that instance anyway.
Right, and then the Harrison Jones was because he fears Warpath, right? Like Warpath plus the 8/5 Giant just means that Warpath clears everything.
Yeah.
So he was trying to like layer his threats. So I think that's probably why Purple held back on it. It's just that in that instance, Zalae was down to like 1 card,
Yep.
And then you played Research Project to give him more cards. And it felt like one of those things where I think he was being a little too aggressive with the card draw, and ended up also drawing bomb damage. And instead of developing onto the board, he let Zalae respond instead. And that kind of just that spells a recipe for disaster. So I think Purple overall probably just needs to figure out a better way to be aggressive without having to give your opponent the resources and the exact cards he needed. Because remember, Zalae wouldn't have drawn that if Research Project wasn't played. And he had the necessary cards to end it otherwise.
Yeah.
Of course, that's because we knew everything. So, take what we say with a grain of salt, as always. But it's largely because we have caster vision, and that's what makes it interesting. Because we knew for a while that Purple was in a good spot. And then, because of the fear, Zalae ended up climbing back and getting that win.
Zalae gives a wince because he drew both of his Militia Commanders.
Yeah.
If he had drawn Zalae off the top, that would have been pretty brutal with a Town Crier keep, but doesn't mean second Town Crier is going to be dead.
Yeah, and Zalae doesn't have the turn 3 play. Remember the previous turn he played Clockwork Goblin into Snip Snap off the top? That was really important for that damage. We're talking about it. Like, do you push that damage versus do you go for the trades? And I think without that damage push, completely different game.
Yeah, but Source of the Apprentice on 2. Purple knows without Fairy Dragon played from Zalae's side, there is no way on turn 3 for a Warrior to deal with it outside of Shield Slam. So you're pretty willing to throw the Sorcerer's Apprentice into a 2 and 24 at that stage, and now he's going to be able to go off with Mana Cyclone.
Yeah, he's rewarded. He is punished also by Warpath, but it's not that big of a deal given that he's just exchanging his Mana Cyclone and spells into resources. 10 cards. Magic Trick. The best card in the game, TJ.
Astral Rift. He chooses Mirror Image.
Yeah. This is one of those openings where the Mana Cyclone Mage just has what feels like a bajillion resources that you can't ever outvalue.
Yeah, this is rough. Now, still opportunities for Zalae. I mean, he has Blastmaster Boom.
You picked up Town Crier number 2, TJ.
Dead. Completely dead.
Defend the gates.
Just wants board presence. Still has time to play Wrench Caliber if he needs it.
Ray of Frost just to keep things frozen. And put pressure on Zalae's life total. Zalae's in trouble here. What can he do? Animatic draw, everything is not a mech, so it's not very reliable in this position.
Yeah, even his own Militia Commander, not a mech. Ziliax doesn't feel great because you're trading into a 0-2. Probably just ping Mana Cyclone and then he's back in the same spot.
I think I like Wrench Caliber. Oh no, because your opponent set up into Harrison turn. That feels even worse. Because like Wrench Caliber, you want to get it bombs into the deck for Blastmaster Boom.
Well, Purple doesn't have a full hand, so it's...
I think he'd be more than willing to Harrison just for another card.
Yeah, and he's got cards to dump. Actually, he knows that he'd be able to dump a card because he saw the Ray of Frost, and he wouldn't be killing off Sorcerer's Apprentice in that instance. So he's going to show him, hey, look, I have all my Rush minions.
Purple's like, wow, all right, so you're holding Ziliax and Militia Commander? Purple's eyebrows are twitching. Oh no, the bomb's drawn. That's not good for Zalae.
No, everything's going wrong for Zalae this game, it feels.
Yeah, now he has Mirror Image Harrison Jones.
That
Harrison first.
belongs in a museum.
Zalae with the slow blink, which I think he's starting to resign himself to his fate. And Purple's playing extremely quickly because he knows that the plays are pretty straightforward from this spot.
Yep. Doesn't even bother trading over the Town Crier because Zalae's only way to get through this would be Warpath, which would kill off his Town Crier anyway. I'd like to push if 2 damage. This is This is not good.
Yeah, this is looking like a scoop 'em up game. From the onset, Zalae had the Town Crier, which is fantastic, but really had enough. And you can see the importance of Purple playing that Sorcerer's Apprentice and not playing anything. Because, you know, for a second you're thinking, like, it's just going to go off right now. But setting up the big Mana Cyclones, keeping up the momentum and pressure, this is what the deck does best in the early stages of the game. And then the mid stages, they have the Mountain Giant Conjurer's Calling to follow it up. And Zalae looks like he's gotten out-muscled here. Of course, shout out to the tech cards that are coming to play here. The second Twilight Drake to improve consistency of drawing it, and Harrison Jones. The Alex Straza, not really sure if that ends up being a big difference maker, but it's nice to see that Purple even has further backup, right? Because you can Alex Straza if it gets hit with the Luna's Pocket Galaxy, and then you could use all your fireballs that you get.
Yeah, it's don't let the card outside of Luna's Pocket Galaxy.
Yeah.
Like in previous iterations of Mage. But Zalae going to go with really the only option he has here, which is the Militia Commander. But Purple can just continue protecting this board and keep pushing damage.
Yes.
And he knows that Zalae just struggled turn after turn to deal with this board, so, you know, why add more to it?
Yeah, and he's not playing Twilight Drake. Doesn't have to. Finds a Power of Creation. Useful next turn. I mean, he could play Messenger Raven. It's not adding that much more to the board. It still kind of keeps his hand size the same.
Could just play Mirror Entity as well. But why play anything? Just keep pushing damage to face. Zalae all the way down to 4 health.
Yeah, this feels more like a formality. I mean, Zalae picks up Activated Pain. There's nothing he can really do in this spot. Shield Block doesn't even give him access to anything that strong. He could get Warpath and Warpath twice to stay alive, but that's all he's doing, staying alive. It's exactly Shield Block into Warpath. And that's going to do it. So Zalae can't really do anything in game 3. Seems fairly powerless. The tech cards and the matchup, too difficult to overcome here. And Purple's going to cruise to a game 3 victory and improve his record to 7-5. As Zalae, his struggles continue, but it's kind of like what he was saying. It's the tough matchups that he keeps queuing up against. And he was even speculating if that he was being too predictable, or he's being too like narrow-minded with his thinking, or maybe he's just never lucky, TJ. And I'm starting to think that it's more of the last option here. That, you know, when in this kind of format where you know that there's 3 really powerful decks that you can bring, and you just every week you keep bringing the wrong one, that's just unfortunate, man. Like, eventually you're gonna get favorable matchups, but if you bring like a good deck like Bomb Warrior and you just get the mages, it's like, well, I could have gotten the rogues.
Yeah, it's a pretty rough situation, but honestly, at this point, you just have to kind of chalk up the season and say, hey, get him in Season 2. It's not like we've had a lot of criticisms about his play. I feel like he's one of the players we just haven't talked about the most. Just because of the fact that there's not much to say other than get better matchups.
I mean, I think he played well, but it's also because he didn't have much to play. He didn't really do much in the games against Purple. Purple is joining us for a couple of words on his win. What's up, Purple? You there?
Yeah, what's up, then?
All right, so first of all, congratulations on joining your new team, I believe, for this week. We didn't get to chat with you yet last time you were playing.
Yeah, I was really trying to win, but it didn't quite happen last time. I was so close, and then I died on turn 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it happens, man.
It happens. It happens. So, yeah, you're on Temple Storm now. You're kind of chilling with the Amnesiac. So that was like a long time coming, but it seems like the former members of Archon turned into Temple Storm conversion is still on its way to being fully completed, which is a nice little fun there down memory lane. Talk to us a little about the series here, going up against Zalae. I mean, beating your friends must be fun, but also you had the opportunity to go for extended BM and you didn't. So what's going through your head during those moments?
I was really close in game 1 to casting both Arcane Intellects. It was, you know, I really wanted to make it exciting, but something stopped me. I don't know. I think I'm feeling under the weather today. And you gotta remember, if you're trying to BM at home, kids, it's not BM unless you can actually lose. Like, come on,
Right.
give yourself a chance to explode some bombs off the game 2. I was trying to figure out how I was actually gonna manage to win the game because my deck was basically like completely gassed out of resources, and I couldn't figure out like how I was actually going to win. And I figured out at the end, it's like, well, I need to draw Conjure's Call in and push. But it ended up, I realized at the last minute, I just kind of have to trade that Fairy Dragon. I'm dead immediately. But either way, I think that game, I was just, I was very dead because I just didn't really have anything left, and I was drawing him into good cards with that research project.
Right.
It was my last ditch effort for Conjuring, and game 3 wasn't interesting at all. Just uber nutted, made sure I didn't overdraw, and I don't know, a boring game of Hearthstone. The first 2 ones are a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I think
in my mind.
Game 2, there's definitely a lot of back and forth into it. But now that you got the win, you're 7-5. Pretty well positioned against for the playoffs here. I believe you are 1 or half a game back from race. How do you feel about your chances going to the top 3 here, going to the final week? Do you know your matches ahead of time for week number 8 here?
Off the top of my head, I think I've only played race once, so I think I play him. So that'll be exciting.
That's dramatic.
I may be wrong about this. My memory's been known to be off, but I'm pretty sure I've only played him once.
Yeah, and he beat you in the first match that you played, which means that he currently has the tiebreaker over you.
I mean, if he wins, they'll be tied again.
Yeah.
So
And then it's down to whatever tiebreaker comes second, which Dan and I still haven't figured out. So, do you know what it is, Purple?
No, but I'm hoping winning with Test Rogue counts as like double or something. As a tiebreaker. If I beat him with Test Rogue, do I get extra? Like, does that work?
Yes.
Yes, it's a jury of your peers that vote to decide who goes through for the tiebreaker.
It'll be Test Rogue versus any priest deck.
Yeah.
As the final matchup. All right. Well, thank you so much, Purple, for joining us. Congrats on your win. Good luck in your final week for the playoff race.
Thank you.
All right. So with that, we have our first match in the books. Over for Super Sunday.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's where you're supposed to add insightful commentary.
All right, here we go, Dan. I'm going to tell a quick story. Based on the fact that Purple is just showing Tempo Storm, you talked about a blast to the past, right?
Blast in the past.
Blast in the past.
Where like Archon players are like slowly transitioning into becoming Tempo Storm players.
Yes. Now the full circle will be Purple and Admirable love to tell a story about in the Archon team house. This is one of the first, maybe even only Hearthstone team house where they had a hot tub, and Purple wanted to put bubbles in the hot tub. Admirable vehemently told them, do not put bubbles in the hot tub, you'll ruin it. Purple went and put bubbles in the hot tub anyway, and guess what? He broke the hot tub. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. The next day, Admirable left.
He moved out.
He moved out of the Archon team house. And I just want them to bring the band back together in Tempo Storm. Everybody that used to be on Archon joins Tempo Storm. They get a team house. They buy a hot tub. They invite Admirable over. And right in his face,